So that takes us to part 4. And here we're just going to talk about, what to do with the report now that we have it built. So we want to save it, obviously. We want to control how it works when you open it. And so I'm going to start with controlling when or if data is refreshed. The default action, if I were to take this report I created just now and I saved it for the workbook, later when I reopen it, the default action is going to be that it's going to ask me to log in and it's going to refresh the data with current values. By default, that's the way it's going to work. It's going to expect that we want live data always. But if that's not the case, and sometimes we know from experience that the user wants to be in control of when numbers get updated. They want to see the same numbers they saw last time they were in the workbook. There's an option in here. Third button in is Edit Preferences. And on this workbook tab, I can click on Save Data with Report. Okay, so if I have that checked, then any of the TSGL amount values get stored, sort of cached with the workbook. So Office Connector does not need to go out to the database to get those values. And that means that later when I reopen the workbook, I'm just going to see the same values that I saw last time because they were stored with the workbook. And then when I click on refresh, it throws all those values away and queries the current data. So that way the user is more in control of when to get fresh data. So keep that option in mind as far as just how the user may want that to work for them, whether they want to automatically refresh or not. The other aspect of that, which I didn't really cover in my PowerPoint slide, is this idea of a viewer mode. And you may or may not be aware of this. It's actually covered in our knowledge base, and also in the product help, I think, too. The basic idea is that you could have a user who has Office Connector installed. They could just go to our website, download it, install it, but not have Sage installed. Now, if you don't have Sage 300 installed, you can't get live data, right? Because there's no connection to your database. There's no ODBC driver. But if you have Office Connector installed and you open a workbook that contains, saved values, because this box is checked, then they'll see the saved values. Office Connector will work and it will serve up the previously saved values. It just won't allow you to refresh data. So it's operating in a viewer mode. And so I throw that out there as something else to just be aware of in terms of how companies might want to consume these workbooks. So that if for example, the CFO wants to have this workbook available to him or her, they don't have to have Sage installed necessarily. They could just have a viewer, or just have Office Connector installed and operate in viewer mode, and they can still open it and view it. Okay. Any questions about saving data with report? Okay. All right. Then sort of the next part of that is saving it as values. And if you've used Office Connector before, I'm sure aware of this capability. Saving as values basically just says, hey, I want to turn this into an ordinary Excel workbook. No connectivity to Sage, no ability to refresh the data anymore. Anything that was an Office Connector function is now converted to a static value. But the Excel formulas still persist. So my sums and subtotals are still there, and my math is still there and stuff. But anything that was Office Connector is now a static value. And that's handy when you want to then take this workbook, save it as values, and maybe send it to your CPA or someone external to the company who wouldn't have Office Connector or Sage, and for them to be able to open it and utilize it. Okay, and that's just simply a function on the Office Connector toolbar. The second button on the toolbar, Save as Values. So that's what that does. Right. Now, for the probably the most important topic in this section is how to save your report design. We recommend saving report designs as Excel templates, not as Excel workbooks. And I'll try to explain why by giving you an actual view of what that looks like. I'm going to save this as a workbook first. And I'm going to put it, just for convenience, I'm going to put it underneath my Office Connector reports menu right there. I'm just going to leave it as book 2. And I'm going to go back out to Explorer and look in that same folder. Okay, so there's the workbook I just now saved, and here's the other templates that are there. So when I double click on book 2, what happens? Opens the workbook, right? And I know that because if I right click on it, at the top of this pull-up menu, I see these verbs at the top: open, new, print, open with. Well, the one that's in bold is the one that happens when I double click. All right. If it's a template, which one's in bold? New. What that means is it's not going to open the file. It's going to create a brand new file based on that template. So you're never actually opening the template. Therefore, you're not accidentally ever changing the original design. You're just creating a new workbook based on it. So that's why we recommend saving your reports as templates so that if you deliver it to a user, they're not going to accidentally change something in the template or the report and, cause it not work or something or cause a problem. They're always going to be creating a workbook from it. So, good idea to save as templates. We do have some guidance on in our knowledge base. I'm not going to go into that in a lot of detail right now because it's just part of other training we do, and it's also documented pretty thoroughly in our knowledge base. But there's some guidance on the process to follow from saving as a template. And there's just some kind of common sense types of stuff like, if you built this using sample data and you save it as a template, then the template is going to have sample data in it. It's going to have a list of the sample data accounts and whatnot, which you may find okay. The way that we do it is we set up a general ledger master file that's empty with no accounts. And the last step then is we switch to that data folder, refresh everything so that we have like placeholders for all of the different sections in the report, but there's no accounts there. Hence, there's no sample data stored in the file, and we save it like that as a template. So there are some guidelines like that that's in that knowledge base article it's referred to. Basic best practices for saving a file as a template.